Welcome to Undiet Your Coaching Podcast. I'm Stephanie Dodier, clinical nutritionist and creator of the Going to Beyond the Food method, and I'm on a mission to help all coaches undiet their life and their coaching business. Ready? Let's do this. And welcome back, my dear colleague, to the podcast. And I am very excited to be sharing this podcast with you because I have a free thing for you. Something that we as a team have been working on for a number of weeks, and that's been on my mind to offer to you to help you set up your practice and work with your clients for a number of months. And it's finally here. And I wanted to create this episode to go along with this free thing. I'm going to tell you what it is in just a moment, and to coach you on how to use it, when to use it, where to use it with your client's onboarding process. So what is that new thing? We are sharing with you today access for free to our client assessment forms. This is so cool. There's no such thing in the world. I am telling you right now, you will not find these forms anywhere else because we have a unique, comprehensive process to coach people out of diet culture that includes both the mindset, eating behavior, and body image. These brand new assessment form will allow you to evaluate your client in each one of the pod. Using this, you will be able to get an insight look at their mindset, at their relationship to food, and their relationship to body together. We created that for our student within the non-diet mentorship program because we had piecemeals from different places, and we had not a single assessment that included all of it. We are at the start in our industry of the undiet approach to health and helping women out of diet culture, which means that there's very little tools out there created for us as practitioners. This is the reason why we have the mentorship program, because there is no training program out there available to you to train in that very specific niche that is the non-diet approach. So alongside to that, obviously comes tools that we need to give to our student, and these are the tools we give to our students to work with their clients. What's important to understand when you think about assessment tool is simplicity. You don't want to use assessment tools that are cumbersome, that involve a lot of resources and time, particularly for your client, and that will overwhelm your client. And a great example of that is the body image assessment tool that was available when I started. It's a 32-page document. No word of a lie. That is the only body image assessment available into the world at that time for me 7 years ago, and it was 30 pages. I put one or two clients through that, and right away I realized that this was not going to work for my practice and my client. And I then had to design my own assessment tool. And as I've been teaching other professionals the Going to Beyond the Food method, we've worked through different tools, different assessment. And after now 7 rounds, which means 3.5 years of teaching to professional, what I'm giving you today is the most comprehensive, effective, simple way for you to evaluate your client. So here's what we're going to do. You can go to, I'm going to give you the URL. You can go in the show notes and click the URL. Obviously, give us your name and your email, and we're going to send you the PDF of the assessment. And for the rest of the podcast, I would like for you to have this assessment package with you so I can walk you through each one of the assessment and the philosophy behind it and how to best use it. So for the URL, you can go to www.stephaniedodier.com/client assessment with no S, just client assessment, or go to the URL in the show notes. So from there on, I will assume that you have your package with you. So what you will find in the client assessment, as I mentioned earlier, is 3 sections: mindset, eating, and body image. And each one of the section has no more than a grand total of 20 questions each. And those questions within each of, we'll call them the elements, mindset, food, or body image, are designed and specifically chosen to assess specific aspect of body image or of mindset. So I'm going to go through that as we review each one of the 3 elements. Now, before we get into the assessment, I want to contextualize the process that we teach inside of our training program to onboard client. The assessment are one of the many elements of the onboarding process. The first place where we start is with a consultation. So we teach a 7-step process called closing the gap. That is our consultation that the coaches use to figure out if they're the right fit for their client and if the client is the right fit for them. Now, you want to be sure that you think about consultation in the way that we think of consultation. Because toxic business culture has taught many of us that consultation is a process to sell people into your program. And as I was trained when I began doing coaching and I began online marketing, I was given a step-by-step of the consultation and literally what to say to coerce people in believing that they had no choice but to buy a coaching package from me. And I'm literally like punching my hand. You're probably hearing the sound because that's how it felt to me. I remember vividly doing consultation with the speech taped up to my computer screen and reading every line and feeling my stomach just twisting. I felt like puking because that went against all of my personal value. It went against my training as a clinical nutritionist and as a coach. The whole thing was literally disgusting, but I did it because I thought that's the way it's done. Although we call that consultation in my world, that is not at all what consultation is all about. We teach a process that's valuable to both you as a coach and your client. It's an exchange of value. That's what the consultation is. Some people will call it a free coaching session with the intention of getting to know your client and them getting to know you and you making sure that they're the right fit and then making sure you are going to be able to solve their problem. So it's an exchange of value on both ends. We have a 7-point, call it a roadmap of where you need to go in your session, but there is no script that you need to follow. There's no coercion. There is no convincing people. There's no making people feel guilty. No. The way we teach consultation is about you first. The first 3 step of consultation is about hearing from your client. What's their problem? What have they tried thus far to solve the problem? Why do they think it hasn't worked? So really the first 10 to 15 minutes of the consultation is you asking a question and letting your potential client talk, and then you just take notes, okay? And then it shifts to you. Once they've told you their problem, what they've tried and why it hasn't worked, then you propose your solution based on what they told you. What would be your solution? And then you walk them through your solution and how that's going to impact them. What's going to happen if they do your solution, your program, your coaching, and then what is their life going to look like with their problem being solved? Because what most clients don't realize is that if they have a problem with food or body image, they think it's only going to impact food. They don't realize that by trusting themselves with food, it will have a ripple effect of trusting themselves in all these other parts of their life. And the same thing with body image. If you coach body image, what most people don't realize is that they come to you so they don't feel terrible about themselves. But what they don't realize is that if they are confident in their not body and they're stop trying to change it, they're going to show up differently in their relationship, at work, in their business, all the things. So part of the consultation is to actually show that to people. We call that paint the picture or paint the vision. And then that's it. And then you propose to them, here's how we can work together. If you think this is the right fit for you, this is the number of weeks, this is the price, and so forth. Now, from an onboarding process, this way of doing a consultation is a massive intake form, because you're hearing the perspective of your client on the problem, how it's impacting their life, what they've tried, what they haven't tried, why they got stuck from their perspective. So all this information you're getting from the consultation is what traditionally is done in an intake form. The way we do consultation, once you're done with the consultation, you're ready on the next appointment to get started with your client because you have everything you need. Then you use the assessment. But first, we got to get to know our client and get to know what they've done or not done and how they've approached the problem. We don't want to, if they've done one thing, we don't want to repeat to them the same thing, same process or same solution. If they've already tried that and it hasn't worked for them, we have to figure out why it hasn't worked for them and then offer them a solution with that. And then what I recommend to do once the client said, yes, I want to work with you, you send them the invoice, they pay you, and then you send them this assessment package that I've just offered to you for free that you go and download. And then what's going to happen in that assessment, you will evaluate each one of the three aspects you're going to work with. Now, as I'm saying that, I'm realizing that maybe some of you are not trained on each of the three aspects of undieting your life. We coach very specifically on mindset, on eating, and body image. So if you are not trained on mindset coaching, then you want to be careful using the mindset assessment because your client will have an expectation that you're going to help them with their mindset. So as I'm saying that, I'm realizing that you may have to take some portion out if you're not trained on delivering all of it. But with that in mind, I want to say that if you're not trained on mindset and you want to help people with becoming an intuitive eater or changing their body image, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for you to be effective in your coaching for one and only reason is that diet culture is not in the behavior, it's in the mind. Diet culture is a belief system. It's a collection of thoughts that your client think, that you used to think, that is being observed in their behavior around food, in their behavior around their body or around health. But the way to change the behavior is not by attacking the behavior. That's the diet culture way. That's resorting to willpower and self-discipline and checklists and time blocking, trying to override the outcome of their thoughts from diet culture. So if you're not trained in mindset, you will not be nearly as efficient in helping people with food and or body image. The other thing I'm realizing as I'm saying that, it's not even on my note, but I'm realizing I always assume that people are trained to do the triad, like to do mindset and eating and body image, because that's the way, based on neuroscience and cognitive behavioral modeling, to change behavior when it comes to food and body image. But if you're not trained, for an example, in addressing body image, and you're dealing with somebody that has dieted their whole life, and you're attempting to change their eating behavior, it's going to be very hard. Because what caused the eating behavior, the dieting and the restriction, it's their thoughts about their body. So that's why we teach the triad, because one comes with the other. And the reason why I know this, if you're listening to this, you're like, oh my God, I only know intuitive eating. That's okay. That's why we're here. And I was like you. Like if you go back up the feed of this podcast 1, 2, and 3, I think, I talk about my story as a practitioner and as a coach, my evolution on why I'm here today, why I have the Going to Beyond the Food method, why I coach mindset, why I coach body image, and why I coach food, because I used to only coach food. I'm a nutritionist by training. I have a degree in nutrition. I had no training in body image, let alone mindset. These are acquired skill sets because of me making errors and failure and mistakes and realizing, oh shit, I can't just coach eating. I have to coach body image, because if I just do food, my clients are still struggling and wanting to lose weight. Like we're going to help them with the desire to lose weight, which means desire of body image. So here's what I'm proposing to you. Here's my solution as I'm coming up with this. I would like for you to do yourself the 3 assessments. And you will see, and I want you to do those 3 assessments on your own self, not like on behalf of your client. The reason why I'm saying that is, if you have what I call, if you look at the assessment and scroll, I'm going to go to the exact page 11, where I give you the body assessment results, you will see that I have 5 types of body image, right? Liberated body image, neutral body image, conflicted body image, negative body image, or violent body image. If you are already a liberated body image person, it's likely that you would have a capacity to help other people. Even though you don't have a formal training, you don't have a framework, it tells me that you've done your personal work in liberating yourself from diet culture and body image, and that you're probably skilled to some degree to help other people. Okay, but if you do the body image assessment and you're not liberated, you're like conflicted, negative, or perhaps violent, you are not in a position of helping other people. This is kind of a confirmation for you that you need some personal work, number 1, and number 2, understand how to help other people with this. So that would be my recommendation if you're not trained on those 3 in the triad. So here's what I would like to do with you now is look at the mindset assessment. The mindset assessment is a tool for you to understand the emotional intelligence of your client, for you to assess their cognitive awareness, and for you to assess their cognitive flexibility, their ability to change their thoughts and their belief system. First, they must be aware, and then it's going to assess their own awareness of how to change their thoughts. It's going to give you an insight on their self-belief, which is huge in the context of diet culture, because most people who have spent a certain amount of time in diet culture have very challenged self-belief. They're very low self-esteem. So some of those questions are going to assess that, and they're going to give you an insight literally in their belief system about themselves. The reason why you want to know that is when you do your mindset coaching, which is likely if you do mindset coaching, I am assuming it's not mindset coaching with manifestation woo-woo stuff. It's actually concrete neuroscience-based coaching. So you know that it's cognitive behavioral coaching that you're doing, and you know that it starts at the belief level, then it goes into the thoughts, the emotion, and then the action. So really your goal in coaching your client's mindset is to change their self-belief. This assessment will allow you to go into their brain without asking them any question and see their self-belief, and that you can then use that as you coach them to show, like to ask specific question about certain part of their self-belief so they can become aware of their self-belief and then recognize that they need to change the way they think about themselves. But without this assessment, you're kind of, I call that shooting from the hip, right? You're like, I don't know, let me ask a little bit of question to figure out what they think about this and what they think about this and their emotional intelligence. When you do this assessment, and then you know exactly, okay, I need to spend some time in learning to process emotion. I need to spend some time neutralizing their emotion. Oh no, they're good with that, but they need some help in cognitive distortion, or they need some help in changing their self-belief. They have a very low self-esteem. So this assessment will allow you to kind of craft a beginning roadmap of helping them change their belief system. So that's the reason and the logical intention behind the mindset assessment. The second part, so if you scroll, I'm scrolling because I'm on a PDF format, but page 6 and 7, that's where we go into the eating profile assessment. The eating profile assessment is built around becoming an intuitive eater. So it is not the intuitive eating assessment scale by Tracy Tilka. This is not scientific. It's a much simpler way of assessing intuitive eating behavior. So it's not to be confused with the official intuitive eating assessment. And the goal there is very simple, is to assess their relationship to their eating cue, their relationship with nutrition, gentle nutrition, and then how they're using food beyond nutrition. So is that a coping mechanism for them? And if so, how is that a coping mechanism for them? Most people, it's around numbing, avoiding, and processing emotion. So for us, when we're trained in the triad, the eating profile very often confirms the mindset when people show up in their mindset assessment with a really challenged relationship to their emotions, so their emotional intelligence being lower. Then we can pretty much guarantee that in the eating profile, you will see a lot of result associating food with emotional overwhelm and coping and numbing. One goes into the other. So it's very straightforward, the eating. Most of my professional clients come to me with having done their personal work in intuitive eating or being intuitive eating counselor. So I'm not going to spend too much time there because usually that's the starting point of the professionals. Where the gap usually resides is in body image or with the mindset. So let me go to the next piece, which is body image, page 9 and page 10. So first thing to know is this assessment is built based on my own framework that I created which is called the body neutrality framework. Okay, so this assessment is built on the end result of being body neutral or body liberated. We don't value within my company and within Going Beyond the Food body positivity. Body positivity for us in its root and its nature is a activism framework from a political, social environment. It was never meant to be a therapeutic process, meaning that it's never been the goal to love your body. And understand that also we work under a feminist value system. So to keep our client in the mindset that as a woman, they need to love their body, that goes against all of our principle of feminism. So now that you understand the context, that's the evaluation. We're going to look on their thoughts. We're going to look at their body image assumption. Like, for an example, do they think that they have to love their body? Were they given that piece of information and they're coming to coaching with you thinking, oh, I'm going to love my body, right? What kind of relationship they have with their body and different body parts? What protective mechanism do they have in place in protecting themselves from their relationship to their body? That's what this assessment will lead you to. So if you look at the scoring system, we're talking about here, I'm not going to go in detail because I just realized I coached you through that earlier, but the ultimate goal is liberated body image. Another piece of our teaching around body image is the roadmap of body image, and I'm going to quickly walk you through that. The goal, as I mentioned earlier, is about becoming body neutral, but there is a next step and a next step after body neutral. Body neutrality is kind of the midpoint. We can reside in body neutrality for the rest of our life and be totally at peace with our body. With time and building up a relationship with our body from a neutrality standpoint, very often people want to continue to build a respectful relationship with their body. And that's what we call the stage of body respect. Body respect comes after body neutrality. And this is when you value your body and you value what it does for you. So this is when people start re-engaging with movement. They start perhaps re-engaging with certain health behaviors specifically to them. And then the last stage of the body image kind of roadmap is body liberation. There's a very small percentage of people who get to that place. Body liberation is when you are in a full respect relationship with your body and you use your body, your story, your learning to help other people. So I'm in a state of body liberation where I use my body to help other women. I, on social media, will showcase how I live my full life, even though I'm fat. This is when people can go in activism, right? In social justice as fat liberation. Again, very small percentage of people will get to that place. For most average people, like the average woman who's not a professional, there's no need to get there and there's no desire to get there, and that's totally okay. The assessment will help you identify that with your client where they are on the body image roadmap. So you do this assessment with your client after you've done your consultation, you've got already a history and a goal, what your clients want and how you're going to solve it. They come in, they do their assessment. You then have an inside look in their brain and their relationship to body image and to food. And then you start coaching very specifically. This assessment will fast track your coaching because you know exactly where you need to go for this one individual based on their goal and what they want to work on. Now, this is what I'm giving you as this free assessment because I believe it's going to help you and it's going to allow you to get result quicker to your client. I want you to do it for yourself so you understand your gap as a professional and seek training, seek education on where your gaps are. I also want you to know that this is great, but it's not the end of it all. There's more behind this. We, in our program, because we specialize in training people and that we have many other tools, that we think about specific mindset coaching tool, right? We have different coaching concept. We have a structure we use. We have the thought ladders. We have all kinds of other tools that we don't necessarily use with all of our clients. But the goal is that you have these tools in a toolbox, and based on the need, the assessment of the individual client, you pull these tools out and you give them to specific people based on where they are in their journey and their goal and what they need for themselves. So we have a series of tools for mindset. We have a series of further assessment and tool for food, and the same thing with body image. I understand that not all of you will train with me, so not all of you will have these tools, but I wanted to give you at least this top of the process tools that can help you customize your approach with your client and identify the gaps that you are to perhaps go get more tools in your practice. Now, here's what I want you to do for me. I want you to download the assessment, do the assessment on yourself, and I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you've learned by doing the assessment to yourself, and I want to hear from you on how you think you can use that in your practice and how that's going to fit with everything else you already have as a coach or as a professional health practitioner. I want to hear from you, okay? It's one thing for me to put this into the world. I want to get some feedback. So, waiting to hear from you either by email at info@stephaniedodier.com, or you can DM me on Instagram, and it'll be a pleasure to interact with you. I hope this serves you. I know it's going to serve your client, and I'll see you on the next podcast. Ready to shed diet culture from your practice and help more clients do the same? Awesome. We've got 3 resources to get you started. Simply go to stephaniedodier.com/pro series, all in one word, and access our 3 free training classes that are currently available. We also have a free PDF guide to intuitive eating, an article about the non-diet approach. We also offer a variety of paid programs throughout the year to support you in your journey to undiet your coaching practice. Join us at stephaniedodier.com/pro series, and I'll see you on the other side.